I haven't made a video in a month, so sorry about that, but I wanted the next video to be a bomb. Though for those that are just joining us, my name is Priska Tongengoma. I am a registered nurse. I'm trained in Malawi, but currently I work in the United Kingdom. On this channel, I talk about migration from wherever to wherever. So let the bomb detonate. In today's video, we're going to locate to New Zealand. Stay tuned as we meet our guest. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Priska.
Hannah, welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much.
I'd like us to know about relocating to New Zealand, and you're in New Zealand. Please
Yes.
please feel free to give us all the information that there is to.
Okay.
To begin with, please let the people know who you are.
Okay, I'm Hannah Dentani. I trained in Malawi as a registered nurse. I graduated in 2010, then I worked in Malawi for almost 10 years. Then I migrated to New Zealand in 2023, January. That's when I landed here.
Nice. So you worked for 10 years, and after 10 years, you decided to leave.
You can imagine.
Okay. I know there's so many reasons to the move. We can't do on that
Yeah, a lot of things that makes one leave.
Yeah. Okay. So how are you finding New Zealand?
Oh, I'm liking it so much because it's now almost 2 years here, and
Okay.
I've adapted to the system and I'm liking it. And with family on board with me, yeah, I'm enjoying it.
All right, we're gonna talk about family in the other video, because if I start talking about the family in this video, then we're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. I know everyone is like, okay, how do we get to New Zealand from Africa and that sort of. So I'll leave the floor to you to tell us the move.
All
Can
right.
you just raise your voice a little bit if you can, because it's a bit low.
It's on the lower side. How about that?
I know you're a soft-spoken person, unlike me.
All right, I'll try to raise my voice so that everyone should be able to hear me. All right. The process of coming to New Zealand is just a longer one, because the first thing to do, I'm pretty sure that when you were making your preparations to go to the UK, you had to undergo the English test, the IELTS. Yeah, that is the most important thing. The first thing that any registered nurses who wants to migrate to New Zealand, you need to sit for your English test, which is IELTS, and there's also OET. So for the IELTS, we have got 2 centers in Malawi, that is Lilongwe and Blantyre. So you book whichever you want, but New Zealand accepts academic tests. So I think currently it's around 400 something in Malawi. I'm not quite sure what the exact amount is. So you need to pass, like in speaking, you can get a 7, reading, listening and speaking. You need to get above 7. And then writing, you can only get a 6.5. You're good to go. But then if you also sit for 2 sittings to say maybe the first test, you did sit and couldn't manage a 7, like in the speaking, listening, and reading, you didn't manage a 7, you got a 6, you can resit. As long as you get a 7 in the next sitting, you can combine the 2 scores and then you can apply. So once you've done with your English test, you need to apply to the CGFNS, which is a body which evaluates your qualifications. So the CGFNS is specifically for New Zealand, because there's another CGFNS for the USA. So when you're applying, you need to stage, CGFNS registration for New Zealand. They have their own specific website. So you create an account with them, filling up your details. After that, you need to pay an amount of $300, which is close to 532,000 Malawian kwacha. Once you submit everything and you make the payment, within 2 days, they're going to respond back to you then they will tell you to upload your documents. The documents that they are looking for, they'll send you actually a form in which you some forms that you need to send to several departments. The first form, you need to send it to the Nurses Council of Malawi for them to send the verification details. So currently I hear that the verification is about 300,000 Malawian kwacha. Another form you're supposed to send to your university or your college where you trained as a registered nurse. So I just need to emphasize here to say that the New Zealand is actually looking for registered nurses who hold a bachelor's degree in nursing. They are specific about that. So
on that one, I'm sorry. We have our registered nurses that hold diplomas, let's say from healthy sciences. Can they apply in New Zealand?
No, they do not qualify for New Zealand registration. They want someone who hold a bachelor's, a 4-year one. That is their standards that they require from here.
Oh, okay, because the UK does allow registered nurses from healthy sciences. I thought it could be the same with New Zealand. All right.
It's different because we had another nurse from Malawi who also has a bachelor's from one of the colleges in Malawi, not mentioned for anonymity sake. They could not offer the registration because it was not from CAMS College of Nursing.
So they're specific.
Yeah, they were very
KCN.
specific. Yeah. So I haven't met some other nurses from like Diang or Nzuni who have registered. I haven't heard of any. Maybe some of your viewers can be one of them. It can be their starting point. Then we can hear from them if they need to apply.
Yeah,
And then
I've
I'm not
had
quite
people
sure.
ask me about the same.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
same. Okay.
So once you get the form for your college, you send it. They need to send your transcript. So it's the college or the Nursing Council of Malawi that needs to send the documents direct to CGFNS for New Zealand. And also
they want paper copies.
They want paper copies. So it needs to be sent by DHL or FedEx. And also recently they require some references from your employers. So there's another document which one needs to send to employers to verify if indeed you worked at the specific places. On this one, I need to emphasize some people would like to lie on their CV to say they worked at this and this hospital. Well, in actual sense, they did not work at that hospital. So it will be difficult for you when it reaches to this stage. So I would urge anyone to be honest and truthful in everything that you're doing in the application. Because if you're honest, you don't need to hide anything. You have the process straight and forward. So once this is done, they also request you to notarize your documents. That is your ID documents as well as your qualifications. So you just need to find a lawyer in Malawi, or I don't know where else one can notarize in Malawi. They just need the stamp to verify that you are who you say you are. So once you notarize, you can just upload in the system. And you can track your application in CGFNS. Once the Nurses Council from Malawi sends the documents as well as the college or university where you're from, you'll see the updates in the system. They'll be showing you to say, we have received your documents, we have assessed them. Actually, this process of CGFNS can take from 4 months to 6 months. It's now taking a long time just because a lot of nurses are applying and they have a high volume of applicants. Previously, it would only take within 2 weeks, but then it's delaying nowadays. So after they've made all the assessments, they generate a report, send it to you. Once they send the report to you, they'll ask you to go through the report to make sure that every information about you is correct before they can send it to another level of assessment. So before I go to another stage, I will just explain to say that the English test I mentioned about, there's a section in the application form whereby you also need to upload those results, but they don't take results from the applicant. You need to inform British Council. British Council will upload it on their own in their website. That's how they do it.
These guys are tough, aren't they?
Yeah, it's tiresome, yeah. So you just send an email to British Council Malawi as well as in the system, the IELTS system. When you apply online for the British Council, you have that section whereby you can request for them to send a copy. So you just emphasize to them and follow it up with them. That once they send, you see it in the system that it has been uploaded. Actually, when British Council sends that form, it only takes 48 hours to appear in the system. So it reflects that they've done that. Once you have verified the generated report from CGFNS, then you authorize them. They require your authorization for them to send it to the New Zealand Nursing Council. So once you authorize, they would send it to New Zealand Nursing Council. Then you wait for about 48 hours. You're going to receive your an email from New Zealand Nursing Council. They will just say, we have received your report from CGFNS. So we would like to invite you for application. Then they send a link in the email. You just apply.
So this CGFNS, have they ever rejected anyone from Malawi?
They haven't, because their main duty is just to assess your qualifications and describe who you are. Everything will be done by the Nurses Council.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because at some time we did with an organization, they said Malawi qualifications weren't at par with the international standards. So I was just hoping that these ones wouldn't say the same.
That is the duty of the Nurses Council, New Zealand Nurses Council, that justifies or assess whether you meet their standards or not. But for the CGFNS, what they do, they just assess your documents, write a report to describe your education, every qualification you've got, your identity and your English potential. Then they send it to the Nursing Council. It's Nursing Council now who do the rest.
Okay, so it could happen that the CGFNS,
yeah,
doesn't approve of your papers. Is there any way to appeal? To say, no, my
CGFNS,
papers are valid.
no, they have never done that. If they're having some issues with your documentation, they usually communicate, send an email in their portal to say there's a differentiation, especially between names. You know, sometimes people will change our names. You can add a middle name, then later on you change. They will need at least proof of that, of name change. That's when they clarify everything before they can send it to the Nursing Council.
So it will be at the Nurses Council prerogative whether to say you're
that's
ready
their
for this
decision to make. Yeah.
Okay. All right, go on. Let's talk about the other bits now.
Okay.
After we have done with this, that one.
CGFNS. Okay, so once you have now opened the link that has been shared to you from the New Zealand Nursing Council, in there you also find an application portal in which you need to register some of your information. Of course, they already have some information about you, but they'll still need you to add in some extra information so that they can know who you really are. So in that application, you need to pay another fee, application fee, which is 584 New Zealand dollars. And in Malawi and Kwacha, it would be, no, I missed on that one. It is 485 New Zealand dollars, which is 510 Malawi and Kwacha.
Okay.
Yeah. So once you pay that, they also want international criminal check. On that one, you need to pay so that they do some background check for you. So it's done through Fit to Work, which is an organization in Australia. So we pay in Australian dollars, 185 Australian dollars, which is amounting to 213,000 Malawian kwacha, 213,000. I should say that. And I don't know whether I'm pronouncing well the figures.
The money is just going, isn't it?
Yeah. So once you do that, the Nursing Council now they will invite you to write, we call it IQN assessment, which is compared to CBT. It's an online exam.
In the UK.
Yeah, but here we call it IQN theoretical exam. So it can be done online. Back home in Malawi anyway, you can just access the portal. Actually, it's secured because they will be monitoring it when you are logged in the system. So for this one,
I've seen that it can be done with the Pearson View.
Yeah, it's been done
now
there.
we have Pearson View centers in Malawi, one in Blantyre, one in Lilongwe, the Sparks Center.
That's an excellent thing. I just know of the one in Namiwawa. That's the one that I knew previously. So that's an ideal thing now. It's easily accessible in Malawi. Once you do that, you write that exam, and it's costing 140 New Zealand dollars, which is approximating to 100-something thousand Malawian kwacha. Yeah.
Mm.
So once you pass that, it has got two parts. It has got the medication part and just the standard assessment, just to see the clinical knowledge that you have. So once you're done with that, Nursing Council of New Zealand will also send you a link whereby they want you to do 2 theoretical modules online pertaining to their Maori culture. We have a Maori culture here in New Zealand because the native language is Maori. So English is just a language that is common, of course, but the natives of New Zealand are Maori people. So they are, yeah.
So I have, okay. That means I also need to learn the language.
You don't need to learn the language because English is spoken everywhere, but they just
Thank
wanted you to learn about what do the Maoris believe in, because you're going to work in their hospitals and you're going to be meeting them frequently. And you need to know because they have a culture that we need to respect once they come in the hospitals. So everything is there. You do it online and you get a certificate. You send it to Nursing Council, you upload in the application portal. Once they see it, then they authorize you to come to New Zealand and sit for the OSCE. So the OSCE is in 3 parts. You come for orientation and preparation of the exam, which they costed at 500 New Zealand dollars. The actual exam cost about 3,000 New Zealand dollars. So it has got 15 stations, because I haven't done the OSCE thing. I came when they were doing competence assessment program. So we didn't do any of the OSCE. It was just allocation in the wards for 8 weeks, and they gave you a checklist of things you need to complete, and you should show that you have indeed shown competence of those things. Then they'll just give you the license like that. It was easier the time I came, but nowadays they've made it strict. So
I've seen that they have just changed, like in August.
Yeah,
I mean, in July, that's when they have changed. I'm like,
yeah, they changed it from
now? Why couldn't we just do this before then?
I don't know. So everyone who
And you have to
applied
go through
to
OSCE over again.
It's just a tough thing. Because the first set of people to sit for the OSCE, the first ones will be in this November, because there was still a lot of a backlog of nurses who were doing the competence assessment program. But the first OSCE will be done this November. It's only one center here in New Zealand. I think it will then extend to the others later on. Yeah, because it's still under the pilot study to see how it's going to be effective or not. They're still piloting it. So it's only one center, which is in Christchurch. Everyone needs to go there. There's only one simulation center that has been accredited to that. So,
and the weird thing is, even for us nurses that are working internationally, when you do the self-assessment portal on New Zealand website, they still say you need to do the OSCE. I'm like, haven't I passed through that OSCE already with the UK Nurses Council?
Yeah, especially that side. I was thinking like someone who has already worked like 2 or 3 years in the other countries like the UK, Australia. I thought they would exempt them from that, but then
I thought as much.
I'm not sure what they
That
want
has
from.
been a pain though.
Yeah, but since you have a desire to do something, you just have to go through it. Everyone is going through it, and then you can come out achieving your goals. As long as you are determined to achieve whatever you want to do, you can do it. Yeah. So when you're coming here for the OSCE exam, it means you require a visa. So this type of visa is called occupation registration visa. They give it for 12 months. So you're given 12 months to come and sit for the OSCE exam. Currently, there are no employers here in New Zealand who are recruiting nurses and offering them support for this visa. It means you need to come on your own. I was searching the website just to see if there's any other hospitals or care homes that are sponsoring overseas nurses, but then I only found just 2 of them. I may share it with you. Maybe you share the link once you are airing it out to your audience. So they only want someone who has already started this process, but therefore they indicate on their website to say they would opt for those nurses who are already in New Zealand, unlike those who are outside of New Zealand. So the chances are very slim and low. But I believe if you trust in God and if it is indeed your thing, no matter how many low chances you have, you're going to get it.
Okay. So this, you said this visa is valid for 12 months?
12 months.
So you can stay in New Zealand for 12 months?
12 months, but you will not work. It's only for occupation registration. You cannot do any other job. You just come for the exam, that's all.
You can do, at this time, you can't use that opportunity to find employers?
You can use it to find employers, attend interviews, but then you cannot work on this visa unless you apply for a work visa. That's when you're eligible to work.
So at this point, that means you're finding your own accommodation.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
sponsoring yourself and everything.
Yes.
That's tough.
Yeah, really tough. As long as you find an employer. Currently, the job market here in New Zealand is really tough because they are no longer recruiting from the government hospitals. They're no longer recruiting from overseas, issues of funding. And there was an influx of nurses, and there's also high volume of nurses who got registered. They've got their APCs from here, but then they can find jobs. Some of them are going back to their countries and applying from there. Once they get the job, then they will fly in back to New Zealand. We've seen such cases, like where I was working previously, a lot of nurses were coming for their practical competence assessment program. So once they finish, they would try to look for jobs, and then you could find that you couldn't find any and go back. But then the main challenge that I noticed, we have some nurses from other countries who are literally the English when they start to speak. It's really something that you cannot even figure out to say, what do they really want to say? So during the interview, they assess things like those to see how good is your English as well. And you tend to wonder such kind of nurses got the English test, they passed with flying colors, and then you ask yourself, how did they pass this exam when they're failing to communicate? So nurses should also consider communication is a priority, especially English. If you are good in English, I think the chances will just be out there for you. And also confidence when you're doing the interviews. You can show the employers that you are capable of doing everything.
Okay, let's get back to the OSCE. You
All
said
right.
there are 10 stations for the OSCE.
Yes. 10
10
stations.
stations
Yeah.
of torture. And I've seen there are 3 hours, 12 minutes each.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. And you're allowed to club the results. Let's say you failed the first sitting of OSCE. How many chances do you have until you finalize your test?
You've got 2 chances, and the third one will be the last if you fail. But then I think with this amount of money, 3,000 New Zealand dollars, anyone should really strive very hard to pass. And we should not mention the word failing because it's really just a waste of money. Once you fail for the receipt, you need to pay another amount, and they've got those amounts stipulated on their website. So if you can just log into the New Zealand Nursing Council, you have all the information on there on what happens when someone fails.
Okay. We'll put the link for the New Zealand Nurses Council in the description box. On there, that means we can read everything that we need to know about registration with the New Zealand Nurses Council.
Yeah.
So we've done the paper verification, qualification verification by the
CGFNS.
CGFNS.
Yes.
Then after they have verified us, we're going to Nurses Council where we are writing the IQN and the OSCE.
Yes.
And after that?
After you pass the OSCE, then they will issue you your APC annual practice and certificate. But before that, you need to pay for it as well. It costs 130 New Zealand dollars. So after which, then they will give you your APC. You can now start looking for jobs. Once you get a job, that means the jobs that you'll be looking for are for those employers who are sponsoring a visa. Because for you to have got a visa, you need a job offer first before you can change. Yeah. So I think I can just stop there meanwhile. And if you need an extension to explain what happens then with the visas, then we still have the time you can ask questions.
Yeah, that's a long one as well.
Yeah.
Okay. This process looks a bit easier, but it's not.
It's not, as I explained earlier, CGFNS process takes from 4 to 6 months. The nursing council one is the one that is taking the longest now. I've got some friends who applied from last year, December till now, they're still waiting since they have got a high volume and they are now and then I try to call them on behalf of the friends. They're still saying we've got long, high volumes of applications. So just be patient. So it can take from 6 to a year. I shouldn't give false hope to anyone. It's taking longer nowadays.
It takes a lot of patience.
Yeah.
But then the good thing is once you're registered with the New Zealand Nurses Council, with the relationship they have with Australia, you can easily go to Australia, isn't it?
Yes. So what happens once you get your APC and you want to go to Australia? It's just a matter of 5 days. You apply today, pay the fee. It's 500 something New Zealand dollars. You just send your documents. You don't need any test, anything. They will just assess your documents. Then within the 5 days, they will give you your Australian AFRA registration number. Yeah, that's what I did immediately. I got mine. I just went for it.
Okay. So right now,
Yeah.
if you wanted just to jump today and go to Australia, you would.
Yeah. Yeah, they offer some chances like if you have a holiday like 3 weeks, you can still go to Australia and do some job if you want. They will offer you accommodation. We have so many agencies that would recruit. So I would encourage someone who wants to go to Australia if they can go through the New Zealand route, because immediately you get your APC, you are highly wanted in Australia. They do offer the sponsorship and relocation package is really good.
Okay. Just I know we're not talking about Australia, but
Yeah, let's drop it.
All right. Thank you so much, Hannah, for telling us about the process to relocate to New Zealand. As we've heard, it's not an easy process. It's a long process, but it just takes your diligence, your patience, and everything for you to relocate. This relocation journey is not an easy one.
Yeah. Sleepless nights.
Everywhere you're trying to ask, the UK, the US, New Zealand, the processes are all long. There's no easier route.
Yeah, no shortcuts.
No shortcuts.